Actually, some of the writers I really admire, like Pete Hopman, Francisco Stork, Gabrielle Zevin. I love their work, and my editor, when asking about, well, maybe we can get some blurbs for this, can you think of people who you might want to blurb you? I came up with those names. But she came up with the actual list, and she approached the authors and sent them the arcs, and we were lucky. Most of them responded, and they said good things, so that was nice. I think it's helpful if you have some authors who you feel like their work speaks to you, and hopefully your work will speak to them, and that's sort of what happened with mine. I think I picked authors whose work I like a lot, and they liked mine, so that was nice.
The Edgar Award really helped my career, helped my subsequent books. What really helped, more than I even anticipated, was when my first book was getting ready to come out, my editor goes, well, who can you get to give blurbs for your book on the back cover? And I was like, well, Dave Barry, Carl Hyacin, Michael Connelly, Randy Wayne White. He goes, yeah, okay. He just didn't believe me. He thought it was BS. And I said, I can get those guys to do it. And he kind of discounted it. So I quickly got all of them to, read my manuscript and gave me unbelievably good blurbs and sent them to my editor, and they upped my print run by 10,000 copies just on the value of those blurbs. And I was like a light going on. I go, wow, those things really do matter, But I hadn't, calculated or strategized about that. So I think you always have to put the writing first, and if the awards and the other things come along, then that's gravy.
Well, it means a lot, and it gave the book a lot of credibility that I could put her name associated with it and what she said. But it came about because I became active in different organizations as this book went along. Still am very active, and I've been working for now almost 10 years on all the books I'm writing. So there was an opportunity to be a sponsor of a resurrection of a statue of Woodrow Wilson, President Woodrow Wilson, in front of the Prague rail station. And that statue had come about when Czechoslovakia was formed. And they had honored him because he had helped in the development of their constitution. And it was there until we proclaimed war on the Nazis in December of 1941, and they tore down that statue. So there's a group called the American Friends of the Czech Republic, wanted to resurrect that statue, had the artists redo it in the same plans of what had been done. And it was erected in front of the rail station where my father actually, in May of 1939, said his last goodbye to his parents. He didn't know it, but he would never see them again. And they were putting the statue up, and they also were creating an area that they called the Walk to Freedom, which was so telling of what had happened to my father. So I decided to be a sponsor, and when they had the celebration of that statue, Madeleine Albright came to it. So at a reception that we were at, I walked up to her and just told her a little bit about my story, and she was moved, at that moment, but I didn't ask her anything. And when it got to the point at the in September of 2012, I sent her my draft manuscript and asked her if she would consider giving me a testimonial. And then I didn't hear back from her for a while. And the day after my birthday, I received a letter from her. And it was a wonderful, warm letter. And she had written, at that point, a book called Prague Spring, which was about her family leaving the Czech lands. And so she was very emotional at that time. And she wrote me and said the nicest thing, that she had read a lot of books about that period of time, but she had never read one by someone who had dug so deep into all of it. So it really made me feel wonderful. And then she gave me this wonderful quote that I could use on the cover. And so I think that was kind of a happenstance, meant to be, is how I felt about it. But I really always feel like you should reach out to anybody anywhere in the world that has an emotional response to your book and your story, and ask for it, because people do come and react. And I have many testimonial quotes from people that are other authors that write about different topics that are similar or have the same message, that have responded with very warm quotes for me, and they read just a few of the chapters. They don't have to read the whole book, but they get a sense of what the book's about, and they feel comfortable with it. So it's very important to do.
I sent everyone I had to send them a full manuscript before, I had put them on a notebook and shipped them off to everybody, and sent a release form inside. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to get this done. And I put the book up for, about 7 or 8 years. I just said, there's no way, and everybody's going to sign off on this because these are living, these people are real. And I don't want to have to go back and fabricate everything, or make new names up, because it's still, I want to tell the story, Got in touch with Greg Doyle, the Indianapolis Star sports columnist and writer, and I sent him just a little, not even a synopsis of the book. I just gave him a little, paragraph about, here's why I've written this story. And I don't know if he looked up research on his own, because I don't think he's ever read the book, which was kind of funny to have an endorsement like that. But he nailed it with one sentence. That's how good a writer he is. He wrote, "If you love Indiana, if you love high school basketball, if you love history, and if you are fascinated with all three, as I am, this story of a magical season will hit you in the sweetest of spots." I just sent it to him, and Jerry Reynolds he's got a kind of a blurb. It's not a blurb, and he writes, I had people just say, "What's your memories?" Just write something. And I got in touch with him because he was in 8th grade in French Lick at the time this was going on. Well, he ended up coaching college teams, and he ended up coaching the Sacramento Kings, the NBA team, in the 80s. So he had a really nice little story in there about his best memories of basketball were in French Lick and in Springs Valley Blackhawks, their inaugural year. And Bobby Plump, I just went down. I'd met him a few years ago. I had a friend that was a better friend of his who just said, "Hey, would you meet with me?" So I went down to his restaurant and just recorded what he wrote in here. And it's just asking people, it's that simple. All they can say is no. And believe me, I've asked a lot of people all kinds of things since, and I'm waiting to hear back on a couple of things on getting this thing promoted with the Hall of Fame in Newcastle, the Basketball Hall of Fame. And that will be great. If they said that if they have a copy of it, I hope. I mailed it to them a few weeks ago. They review it, they like it, they will sell it there, and they will promote it in their magazine. So that I've got my fingers crossed on that right now.
I think the Oprah recognition was more than I really ever could have imagined. I've always wanted to be on Oprah's O List, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to get there and what my timing would be, whether it would be 5 years from now or 10 years from now or ever, really. So I'm so unbelievably thankful that I got the connection, that I could send the email, that I could reach out to their team and to be able to submit cakes to them and to send those cakes to New York. I can't tell you what that was like. I really didn't sleep. The second I knew that they left UPS, and once we packaged up those cakes and they flew to New York, and hoping that they open them and unwrap them right and be able to cut them right, and so that knowing that when they ate them, if they hoping that everybody liked it. So that's a lot of anxiety involved with that. But once she picked it, it was magnificent. It's really great. It's a wonderful thing to be able to say. I've got a poster in the shop, and I've got it. I have it framed on the wall, and it's just I've got little cakes that we made of just the Oprah cake. And so the mint chocolate chip cake, which is right there, is now it's called the Oprah cake. So that's what that cake is, and it always will be.